I am just a figment of your imagination.
Hello, everybody. This is Commander 401, and welcome to the Deep State Annex. We have guests and panelists, Slim Cyborg and Brainless Steel. Say hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
And
Yes.
do we have some special derp to validate the idiots who posted it on the internet? Now the Deep State really is picking on you.
Yes, exactly.
Hell yeah.
It's called
Hell
the
fucking yeah.
Electric Universe. Spooky.
Hello everyone, I'm Lynn, and today we're going to explore a theory out there called the Electric Universe Theory. So real quick, before you forget, go and hit the like button.
Lady,
Really
your
does
hair
help.
went through the electric universe. Oh my Jesus Christ, lady. That's way too much
Exactly.
hairspray, or you've been sticking your fingers in light sockets, lady. Don't do that. Do not.
Yeah, don't
And
put your fingers in.
The Electric Universe varies from things where you actually need content where you actually need a degree in order to find out they're full of shit to this lady.
Me out. Okay, so the question.
Exactly.
I recently came across the Electric Universe Theory that says the entire universe is made of electricity. After reading more on Gaia.com, I feel convinced that there's
Gaia.com.
Well, it's
Don't go there.
Gaia.com.
Never go in unless you want
Hey,
to
Al.
laugh a bunch.
Hey,
Go ahead and go there. But other than that, don't fucking go there. It's like one of those headed shopping websites or whatever. Dude, no. As soon as you start going
Hey.
into that, you're gonna be like, no, I do not want to be inside of this.
Hello, Orb.
Hey,
the
demon.
demon.
Hello, Demon Orb.
And
some
hi,
truth.
mamas.
Hi, Mommy.
Yeah, this is
Let's blow on with the idiocracy
Hi.
because I have so much to
Yep.
say about this. But let's let her talk
just
first, and
those
then
eyes.
that the modern
Yeah.
science refuses to even examine. Furthermore, there are talks of electric God. In a metaphysical novel, one of the authors says it is the electricity in the purest form that is God and all living things.
God
Ooh, so I
subatomic
work with God.
particles that when you stick a fork in a light socket, God comes out and electrocutes you.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
gets mad at you.
yeah. You
So I work
definitely
with
see
God
God when
every
you
day.
stick it. When you see God when you stick a fork in a light socket. Let me tell you.
No, but that means I work with God every day.
Yeah, if you're an electrician, you're yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I
this
work
is
with God
this is
every
silly
day.
because once again, why do things always fall downwards and float upwards without something pressing them from
Down
other
the T.
angles?
Hey, Jinx, you.
Oh,
Hey, Jinx.
and we do have another video, because this shite all the shite kind of squishes together, and its nexus is flat Earth. So the next
Exactly.
video.
The
Yeah.
author also gives a description on how this purest form of electricity is the conscious that forms all souls in humans, animals, plants, insects, even microorganisms. When I consider this fact, I find it may be true after all. All evidences and signs given in all the holy books point to the same fact in different words. So the question, do we
got somebody
humans have a
backstage. We have somebody backstage.
Oh, gotta let somebody in.
Hello, hello. I thought they were... Hello.
Yay! Hi, Jenny.
Hi, kids. Sorry, I
How's
was
it?
late.
It's okay.
No,
It's
that's
cool.
okay.
I'll just sit back here and lurk and listen for a while.
You
No, that's-
only missed a little bit of insanity, but it's gonna get way crazier in a second. I
Yeah.
can imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because,
Oh, she's frozen on screen. She's the entertainment then.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
yes. She believes in just
Oh.
like the thing says, the electric universe. So she
Oh,
is going
boy.
to tell us about it.
Oh, what fun! Okay.
see,
yeah.
your soul is electricity. It's not the neural pathways which need electric and chemical to work to form your thoughts. It's just electricity.
then why can't I float if I think hard enough? If I'm made of electricity and there's electrical things going on in my body, why can I? Oh, too much
No,
water.
Slim, no,
need
no,
to
no,
just get the water out of me.
No, Slim, no, that is just because you don't think hard enough.
Dude, I have thought hard about flying and floating. That's the thing that when I lucid dream, that's the thing that I always lucid dream is flying and floating, because it's so impossible on this earth that is my dreaming. I would love to be able to float. But let's listen to this crazy nut job.
Terrible misunderstanding or under understanding of what we know as electricity. I'd be very grateful for your answer. So I took this in and I sat with it for a moment, and
we have a terrible understanding of electricity. That's why these totally awesome computers that we're all using that 50 years ago could not exist in reality, and your pocket calculator is more powerful than the computer that ran the Apollo module.
when I did and I thought about the universe, the biggest thing that I see is this element of magnetism. I always saw things in terms of this magnetic attraction. Like attracts like, both physically and energetically. But when you look at the element in its most finite, purest particles, it is a magnetic bond that holds it together. But what creates that magnetic?
Oh my Jesus Christ.
She
So really-
doesn't understand.
So really quick, when I used to work in electronics, switching out things in computers and the voice modules in computers and cell phones, everybody had to have a bracelet or another type of de-staticking device, right?
Yeah.
We understand how electricity works. You ask Brainless, he's an actual like certified hardcore electrician that knows how to do 220 volt stuff. I have worked in the field. We
400.
pretty much understand how that world works. Gravity, we do understand, but again, a theory in our world or in the scientific world means that is the closest we can get to knowing about something.
Yeah.
The language is couched as this is a theory because it's always open to revision and refining versus, but it's the closest we have to fact right now.
Yeah, I've
It is
shocked myself
painfully-
enough.
It is painfully obvious that this woman has no clue about physics. She has no concept of the strong force versus weak force on quantum level or on macro level. If she would have mentioned that at some point. Yeah. I mean, I've only been listening for 2 minutes. I understand electricity. I've fixed computers, built computers, and I've stuck my tongue in a lot of electrical sockets. So I got a pretty good handle on it, and she's nuts. She's just
Well,
wrong.
you sound pretty nuts, sticking your tongue in a socket.
Well, you got to check that it's working.
I've stuck
Well,
my tongue in a couple sockets before,
Well,
if you know what I
do
mean.
that up to like a 9-volt
so
battery, but
My
nothing
finger
more
wouldn't fit, and I didn't have any knives or forks.
Took it a little bit further. When we see an object, we see the billions of finite magnetically bonded particles combined. When you see a table, a chair, a tree, anything, it's really
That's
those
not
finite particles that have a bond. But again,
Yes, but it's not
who's
magnetic
creating that
bond,
bond?
you dumb cunt. A lot of things don't have a magnetic freaking thingy-mabobber, right? There's a bond in things because it's on a molecular level that's
it's
holding
charges. The electric is charged.
Okay, sure, technically, but is it? It's not electric. The way that she's saying it's not electric. Okay, she is dumbing it down, and that's the problem.
No, she
Yes,
is dumb.
down to atoms. Is it all moving, spinning, and blah blah blah? Totally. But she's too smooth brain to understand that small of stuff.
So I wanted to take it deeper. I really wanted to explore this and analyze how this magnetism works. So
How deep did you take it?
when I did that, I saw that when a particle is magnetically charged, it has to do with the polarity inside it,
About
which we know
7
that,
inches.
North Pole, South Pole, all that kind of stuff. Energy and electric moves in a natural motion, and when paired with a like object,
Word salad.
Yeah.
I think she's gone a little flat.
It mag-
It's just like word salad for the rest of it. You want to try another one?
Sure. And
sure.
what like you were saying, what Commander is, this is the basis of a lot of flat earthers is they believe in this electric universe instead of the gravitational universe. Did I say that right? Is that what was that what we
Well,
called
yeah,
it?
like
Well, yeah.
instead of reality.
Actually, Brainless, you have the flat earther who's denying gravity because
Yeah.
it's related. Can you play it?
Yeah, then let's put this
Don't say it's
away for a
Caleb's. God damn, don't say it's Caleb. Oh,
This
him, of
is
course.
an
yeah.
orange. We're going to use this for the science experiment today.
Yep. But
What is postulated? While gravity says that if you increase the mass, it will accelerate towards the ground. But what happens if we decrease the mass? Should it mean it has more of a
Does it
buoyant
have
force acting
mass?
upon it from the other side, which would cause it to go up? This is going to be an interesting
No.
experiment. Let's do this.
Oh,
The
you had an
scientific method.
interaction.
It's an empirical method, strictly there to establish the cause for an effect
So
observed
if
in
I
nature.
chop off
Step
your
one,
arm,
you will observe a
will
natural
you
phenomenon.
float upward?
This would be, for instance,
Pause it really
an
quick,
orange
Brainless.
falling to the ground.
I think we can all pause it, can't we?
Nope.
No,
I'm
yet.
not logged.
Okay.
I'm not logged
yeah, you're
in
not
with
logged in.
y'all, so
Yeah.
that I don't have the controls. In the future, I may. But anyways, so really quick, this is for you to disprove your claim and not to prove it. He's already getting around, and exactly like Commander was saying. So I can cause buoyancy by doing something that makes something buoyant by cutting into pieces or other things, or skinning a handful like Jeebus.
If you were able to keep the gas from escaping from the Zeppelin, and you took a Zeppelin to the moon, it would literally just sit on the surface and not do anything
Yeah.
because it has mass. So if I chop off that douchebag's arm, no one do that. Making him lighter would not make him float.
Orders confirmed. Chop off arm.
Number two,
And then
you will do your
keep just go.
research to see if anybody else has observed this natural phenomena and done any scientific research on this phenomena.
Fifth graders do this
Step
to
three.
disprove this to some extent. You weirdo. Just keep going.
You create a hypothesis. This would be your postulation and what the cause for the effect is observed in nature. Number four, you make a prediction. What will the experiment?
Al, you got a lot of
Al, you
background.
got background noise.
Someone's
Sorry.
got the background.
yield. And number five, you do the actual experiment. This experiment in detail requires you to manipulate the independent variable, which is the cause, to see the dependent variable, which is the
The way he worded that was very kind of sus. You manipulate the experiment too. No, you change the experiment knowing the variables that you have, and you try to take.
Well,
these
you
out so that it-
manipulate one of the variables,
Yeah,
or
I know,
sometimes
but-
multiple. But the best way is to have just.
But the way
one.
he said it was sus because he's trying to, say. Anyways, let's keep blowing on. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just.
effect observed to happen. If you do not manipulate the independent variable, there is no way to validate if that was the cause for the dependent variable's effect. And number six, you analyze the results. This comes after the experiment, then you take the analyzation of those results and you move on to number seven, which is systematic experimentation. This is experimentation built upon the data from your analysis from the experiment. Then you move on to
Retarded?
peer review. Peer
And
review
this
is simply
flat earthers do not do.
Uh,
You
Yep,
ain't.
and they don't actually like agree with each other.
No, exactly.
Oh shoot.
He's making a big mistake.
variable, which
Let's see.
and you
This
move on
is
number
really hard
7,
to read because
which
it's
is
so tiny.
systematic experimentation. This is experimentation when an object is no
I'm sorry, I accidentally hit the little bar, so had to fast
longer
forward.
supported by someone or something, it will fall.
And I'm sorry, Jenny, you were saying?
Well, he's making a gigantic mistake. The way he's got that listed was at point number 5 was experimentation, and then another point and a half beyond that, or 2 points beyond that was more experimentation. No, you can't manipulate the independent variable twice or select another thing to be a second independent variable, because as soon as you do that, the experiment is no longer valid, because you can only test one independent variable at a time. That's the way science works.
Totally.
Accelerate downwards from the elevation to the ground. So this would be me picking up an orange and letting it go, and it falls to the ground.
Why
This is the
doesn't it go
natural
left or
observed
right? Why
phenomenon.
doesn't it go diagonal? Why doesn't it go other directions then? Why does it always go to the ground?
because of Downity.
Yeah, 'cause,
Downity,
yeah,
yes.
that
Downity.
fucking makes sense. And
Do
if
we
you
do
take things in the electrical world or in electrical different ways, you can get things to go left and right, up and down, and multiple other ways by manipulating something in an electrical field, right? I can shoot things across the room with an electrical bolt or some kind of thing like that. So why do things go up and down without being forced somewhere if it's an electrical field, which goes out in weird different ways? Like I have 2 magnets in my hand and I feel the electrical fields all around me constantly, and it's not up and down. It's weird horse shapes or infinity shapes around things. There's a lot of curvature to a lot of these
Well,
fields.
What was the reason?
That's because, like, if you have a electrical current or any current going through something, there is a magnetic field rotating around that.
Exactly. And so
Research
why
based on this phenomena. The research
just keep going, just keep going.
tells
Just
us
keep going.
that the cause for this falling acceleration is downward is from the concept named gravity. This concept is very vague and has no actual definition or cause for its origins.
It doesn't matter if you don't know what causes it if you
Yeah.
observe its effects.
And
And you can predict its effects. That's
yeah,
the first step to finding out everything else.
It's also a lot less vague if you add in the understanding of what the mathematical equations actually work out to. It's just too complex for Flatzoid to understand.
Yeah,
Dude,
and-
he
but-
thinks doing this experiment proves anything. Yeah, he's fucking
and
smooth
the
brain.
thing with this is like,
There's two
they
explanations of
say
it.
they don't know what it is. Yes, we accept that we don't know everything, unlike a flat earther.
But once again, the only way to make certain technologies, you have to be strapped down to an anti-static thing. There's all these other things that we do where we understand the concept of, we do know what the fuck we're kind of doing. And if you don't do certain things in the parameters or in the physics equation, then it doesn't fucking work. Like making plasma televisions at sea level, right? And then people in the Rocky Mountains, like where I live, were turning them on and they were getting these bars. Well, that was because they were not pressurized properly to be put into higher elevation. We do test these things, Flatzoid and all you other dumb flat earthers, and we actually don't always know these things, but then when we figure them out, then we're like, oh shit, duh, of course that's how that broke.
Yeah, and
right?
even like the fact, like, back in the day with the old televisions with the tube,
Yep.
they had to be manufactured in artificial gravity because every region on Earth has its own gravity.
So we're
otherwise
proving it every
fucked
Newtonian
up.
gravity,
So we're
It's a
proving it every
force.
day.
and Einsteinian gravity. It's not a force. Weird, as they both contradict one another, but one.
No.
Emergent
Just-
force. It basically matters nothing when you're doing the calculations.
And just
but
because
also, like,
at
somebody in
first-
ancient,
No, but at first it was like, oh, this looks like a force. There's a force doing something, and Einstein figured out like technically it's not a force, but
It's
they
just what
left
happens to
out
the
what's
curvature of
behind that.
space-time.
But it can be applied
It's
as
the
being a
curvature of
force.
space-time.
Yeah, and a tsunami.
Same pond. Gravity is either explained in two ways. It is a force of attraction between two masses that accelerate the objects of mass towards each other, or the latter, which is Einstein, is proposed that there is no force at all. The proposition that the space around the object will warp in the fourth dimension, as adding time with space, creates a conceptual fabric to bend. This bending of the space-time fabric is what causes the uneven distribution of those masses, and thus causes the masses to accelerate towards each other.
So it explains how things move.
The argument is that the more mass, the stronger the apparent attractiveness.
Well, no duh. What's your problem?
The larger the mass will always create a larger divot in the surrounding space, and thus the smaller mass will tend to accelerate faster to the larger mass the closer it is. It's as if the mass is following a path over a slope.
Well, that's how space-time and the curve of it work.
Another proposed argument is relative density disequilibrium. This postulation is based upon the uneven distribution ratio of the object and the medium that it is submerged in. The object's ratio depends on the medium determined by the relative direction to acceleration. If the medium is able to support the object's displacement, it will accelerate it upward until it finds its relative equilibrium state. If the medium is not able to support the object's displacement, it will accelerate downward till it finds its relative equilibrium state. This proposition is based not on the mass, but the ratio difference between the object and the mass. So in other
There is-
words, the
There
displacement.
is no
ratio.
such concept as ratio distribution. This is something that they're just making up. Don't be fooled, folks.
exactly, this is just
Yeah.
silly. Like,
And Jetty, that's why I like hanging around you, because you're smart. I can learn from you.
yeah, they're misrepresenting anything, and that's what they're gonna. He's gonna misrepresent this thing as well, which this does prove things and stuff, but they don't understand math. Let's put it that way.
I am
I'll talk-
pulling up the buoyancy formula.
I'll make fun of they don't understand length and size later, because I know it'll come up. So I'm just gonna make fun of that they don't still understand math or maths.
Yeah.
Displacement shows the distribution of the pressure over the surface area to give its difference on observation. Just as you would see a huge container ship with thousands of tons able to float on the ocean, and with a bowling ball only a few kilograms able to sink. Now, if we had to flatten out
Brainless, I put the buoyancy formula in the general chat on the Discord. Could you pull it up?
Probably. I can probably pull it up. Let's put that like that.
Tsunami.
Make that a different.
You're smoking a cigarette, and are you the only person that likes 4 dumplings in a pan? I mean, I would love 4 dumplings in a pan at this point.
Dumplings are good.
I agree.
And then we put that one to the
Pot
backstage for a
stickers
bit.
are amazing.
Okay,
You gotta go back to her
I know. I saw.
one
I saw
before
the pot
that.
stickers. Well, is that kind of like I'm smoking a blunt with a pancake, or a blunt with a pancake, and I'm smoking a bong with a
It's not.
fritter or something? Is that what it is on?
Well, let's look at this. There's a little
Yeah.
thing called a G.
Hey, Steven.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah,
Hi,
let's look
Steve.
at let's look at how there's a G in the equation and how Y and that
G.
works.
What would I'm curious. What would that G mean?
Orgasm. I mean, never mind. We'll talk about that later. Anyways,
Gullible.
let's see.
Gullible.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the video.
Let's remove that one. Add that
That
one.
bowling ball, it will displace enough pressure over the surface that thus it will not sink. This postulation shows that it's not the mass that causes the acceleration, but the distribution based on the ratio between the object and the medium.
Wrong.
But what happens
In his-
when
in
it's
his page
floating?
before this-
Does it, when it happens
in-
when it's floating, does it float by just bobs and doesn't do anything, or does it float around? So why does it move around as well while it's bobbing? Because there's other forces that are being put on it. It's not just Jesus Christ. These people are so stupid. Yes, it's a bong and a blintz. That's what it is.
I was going to
And
say
this
that
is
in
a
the page
formula for
before.
gravitation.
In the page before, he once again brought up what you mentioned early on, Slim, that okay, why is it going down? Why can't it go to the side, or why can't it go up? He's just saying the same thing over and over again, that that it's because of this, but ignoring the fact that there's conditions that could allow it to go side to side or up. They're ignoring it. It goes down because of gravity.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I always bring up to them. I'm like, why is this not other directional for no other reason? And we can prove the other forces if it is moving around, and even like the buoyancy thing, if it's bobbing around and not just up and down bobbing, what's the other forces? Why is that happening? You know, there's too many things that they do want to discredit. That's why they're black swanners. They want that black swan, that one thing that proves their thing. But then anything you try to prove outside of that little made up
Anything that throws a
structure,
monkey wrench into it, they can't explain it.
But they don't understand that you can have a new piece of information and have to also accept it, but it doesn't take away every other observation ever made. It
and
just
then
means
he's using this because it's going back and forth and not up and down, kind of. And so
yeah,
I think this is
he's
another,
literally gonna this orange thing. I don't want to jump ahead, but he's got that column of different density solids and liquids. He doesn't have any gases involved, and obviously he probably doesn't even believe plasma exists. But he's going to then forget that he showed us that things have different densities relative to each other.
The only gases
And
he has involved is everything that comes out of his fucking mouth. Anyways,
The hypothesis.
which most of which should be coming out the other end.
Exactly, Timely.
Yes,
So let's
it's
keep.
diarrhea of the mouth.
Since the consensus is based on gravity, we will hypothesize and experiment on them first. Let's start with Newtonian gravity. Newtonian's law of gravitation statement that any particle of matter in the universe attracts any other with a force varying directly as a product of the masses and inversely as the square of the distance between them. So in other words, the larger mass will attract the smaller mass more, and the distance between them would give them a different accelerative rate. Create an hypothesis. Still, the mass of an object determines the amount of force the object will be attracted to. It's the largest mass. If it moves, the mass, it should show less attractive force and thus not accelerate at the same rate towards the ground as when shown to have more mass. IV, this is the independent variable. IV would be mass. Mass is the cause for the attractive acceleration.
So when you have two objects of similar mass, like I don't know, Pluto and Charon, why does the gravitational formula predict that they'll be orbiting pretty much each other and have a barycenter between them?
Even easier. He's just completely wrong. Let's see. Let me find the spot so I can quote him. If I remove mass from an object, it should show less attractive force and thus not accelerate at the same rate towards ground as when shown to have more mass. That is only true in an environment with the friction of gas. If you do that experiment on the moon or in a artificial vacuum that's created by NASA in their gigantic vacuum chamber, everything, a feather and a 20-pound ball will fall at the exact same rate.
Yeah, and also, isn't there things have a maximum like fall rate? I know it's called something else, right?
32 feet per second per second.
Velocity.
Yeah, so if you have a lot of different things and everything is falling at the same thing at a certain distance, right? Then it's the same thing. Yeah, terminal velocity. Thank you. Same difference. We know these things. We've already figured these things out a gazillion years ago, and you guys are trying to pretend that we haven't figured this out with your fake create a hypothesis, which doesn't matter. And the other thing that's really, really difficult to do is how can you prove planet-sized gravity without another thing that's planet-sized? The only thing we have is this Earth that we live on, and that's where we do the experiment.
Yes,
We
but
can't go to
what the
math works out. The math works out to be exactly what we see in reality. So
yes, yeah.
What flirts aren't telling you is that their proof for any concept that they're discussing is that the more words applied, the more true it is. It has nothing to do with actual information.
The more word salad and the more 1,000 bullshit dressing, maybe it will make the bullshit dressing smell different.
Well,
Yeah.
then, smooth brain people.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yes, exactly.
And
with
back,
smooth
you're
brain
perfectly
people,
welcome. I sent you a link in the Twitter.
Yeah, so first that's why conspiracy TikToks are working so well right now, because people are so smooth brained that they 10-second video of Caleb telling you that, oh, why were the pyramids built in a blah blah, and then you want to be like, oh, well, why were they blah, 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 it's just the more they can confuzzle you with sounding like big sounding words or more words. Yeah, that's what I say. That's what they're trying to do, is word salad your ass into belief, I guess is the best way to put it.
I don't understand this part though. He has Roman numeral 4 mass and then Roman numeral 15. Duh.
Well, because he's a flat earther, so that explains it.
At least they didn't pull gematria out of their asses.
I think I figured this one out. It's the independent variable is mass, which is a terrible choice for this experiment.
I see.
Yeah,
and the deviant one, the dependent variable is more mass would show acceleration towards the larger mass. It's a ridiculous misunderstanding of what.
Well, no. Actually, that's 100% correct, and that mass showing acceleration is called gravity.
Yes, no, I realized that, but he's just saying if I put more
I'm not
mass.
laughing at you.
Yeah, no, I get he also denies. I actually had an actual exchange with him on a YouTube comment earlier because he said something really dumb in response to Rachel's video. I think it was this morning or last night, but anyway, he's totally he's just way out of it. But just increasing the mass, especially with the experiment because we're looking at the one he does with the orange, right, where he takes the peel off and says, well, there's less mass, so it shouldn't be as affected by gravity, which I believe is true. If you had the means to like measure the gravitational influence on an orange with and without the peel, and you could take away the fluid of water and the way buoyancy works in that fluid with each situation. But he doesn't account for the fact that he's also changing another variable, which is density.
Yeah.
He's unaware that he's changed the second density. By changing this mass this way, he's also changing density. He's done a really bad experiment by choosing a bad independent variable. Not a bad independent variable, but a bad object to do it to. He'd be better off taking like maybe like a closed container of ball bearings and putting 98 ball bearings in first, then taking 5 of them out and seeing if 93 ball bearings is accelerated less. And if he had some way to test like a gravimetry test, he would see the change. But he's trying to use a peeled and an unpeeled orange instead.
Yeah, because he can use this to fit his narrative.
Well, there is a wonderful test that we use to try to find out what a gemstone is. It's called specific gravity. You basically drop something in water and measure the time that it takes to fall a certain distance in the water.
Yeah.
Observe the natural phenomena. So it's the dependent variable. It depends on the independent variable. Without manipulating the independent variable, you are not able to get the observed phenomena, which is the dependent variable, the effect. So remember, you have to physically manipulate the mass in this situation to get the effect observed.
In this situation,
more mass,
because that's also a thing that they don't take into account. Your independent variable can be time, and you don't have to do anything, just wait.
And also, if you're expecting to change, he's basically changing how much the orange weighs. The orange is a very porous, irregular thing to be trying to do any specific gravity measurement on.
He probably spent all day long throwing things into water and seeing what floats, and he finally peeled off the fucking thing of an orange and put it in there, and it fucking did this bullshit. And he goes, finally.
Yeah, no, but he also opens up the inside so water can rush in.
Yeah, of course. He's doing everything he can to make it so that it works for his narrative, when we all know exactly what happened once he put this out. We all were like, yeah, you're fucking doing this wrong, you weirdo.
Hey, but now we've got this is an egg and this is an orange.
Oh, Jeebus Christ. Yes, we have the
acceleration towards the larger mass. In this case, the ground. So the orange would go downward to the larger mass, which would be Earth, if it's mass that causes the acceleration. The null is the antithesis of the hypothesis. So if it is validated, it means your hypothesis is invalidated. If the null is invalidated, your hypothesis is validated. This is a prove situation. You either prove your hypothesis or you prove your null. No matter how many times you do this experiment, it will always be either proven or disproven. Mass has increased and yet shows not to accelerate to the ground.
I'd just like to bring up something, right? The mass of the Earth is approximately 5.9 times 10 to the 24 kilograms. The mass of the biggest orange that I've ever come in contact with might be 1/4 of a kilogram.
Let's just say a grapefruit for the fuck of it. That's still nothing compared to.
So you're going to change the acceleration over a few grams. Yep.
Let's say a coconut.
Number 4, make a prediction. If I move the mass If I remove the mass of the object, in this
You
case the
probably
peel
did.
around the orange, in the fish tank it will show, based upon the postulation, the orange will have less mass. and thus
Let's
have
just
less
get to
attractive
the experiment, Brainless.
force. This postulates that the orange will either remain at the same position,
Because we
or it-
already know
You-
how he's
The
blowing
orange
smoke
will
up our
not have
ass.
the orange will not have less mass. It will have less, I'm sorry, it will not have less mass. It will have less weight. The internal
Yes.
density of the
of the exterior
orange
of
has not changed. Only its covering.
Exactly.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let's
And
let's
then
get
you
to
take the covering off, and now you can change. Now you can let water in to help it sink.
the orange peel,
Yeah.
so there wouldn't be any air bubbles holding the orange up to give a null result. And it's kept in the same container. This is the orange. Let's submerge it in the water.
What kind of orange?
As you can see, it is floating. This is a bit counterintuitive.
Al, I
as you
think
would
we can
think
hear
this is
background
the
noise
structure
from
where
you.
it has the most mass. So therefore it would
Okay.
be needing to attract to the Earth, which would be the larger mass. Maybe it could be
Okay.
the air bubbles in the pores that's holding this up. Let's clean the air bubbles off. See, we
He's now
No.
going to change the density of it by letting the water into it,
Exactly.
invalidating his own experiment.
Exactly. And the other thing that you do when you do
Well, now
experiments-
he's taking off the bubbles on the outside. So
cleaning it off, making sure that there is no air bubbles in, just as the control says. Nope, it's still seeming to float. So definitely not the air bubbles holding the orange up. What do you think will happen when we remove the peel, which is removing the mass? See, I'm cutting the peel off, and we're going to peel it off so it has less mass. So less mass, based on the gravity postulation, would mean that the orange should now float easier.
Why can't you show this in multi other ways other than just if you actually had a gotcha moment where this was proving anything, you could do this with a lot of other things. But unfortunately, you can only do it with this, and it's not even working.
Or be even less submerged. Let's see what's going to happen when I've taken the peel off, which is now making it less mass, and sticking it back into
and he's not
the
showing
water.
that it's the same orange.
Just waiting.
But that wouldn't matter. He's this particular experiment he's doing. If you look at the orange with and without a peel is not an excellent choice here to get like an actual change in just mass. It necessarily changes the density, because with the peel on, it may not be 100% waterproof and gas impermeable, but it's a very good covering when it's not been damaged mechanically. So even if he pierced it first and filled the orange peel with water so that he could reduce that, he'd have something a little closer. But it'd be so much better to use something like Play-Doh and cut a piece off to change the actual mass only and have a uniform density.
The outside of a lot of rinds or shells or husks or whatever are made to be floatable, most likely, right? And so, of course, they're going to float. And then you take away that floatable device that nature has made for it, and it's going to want to fucking shrink. Hey, Renee.
Oh, hey, Renee.
So this is just redonkulous in the first place because, like, duh, a fucking fruit, vegetable, or other things have waterproofing things around them, so they aren't supposed to float per se, but they're supposed to have water run off of them. Right? I mean,
extra.
I'm still trying to figure out what the hell he means by less what it is submerged, less submerged. How's something less submerged? Submerged is an absolute. It's either submerged or it's not submerged.
I think he means more or less buoyant.
Yeah.
I understand
Float
that,
more,
but
right,
when
yeah,
he uses the
he's-
wrong words, he's not saying
Yeah,
what the truth is.
exactly, Timberlake.
Well,
yeah,
he's
Words
a flat
matter.
earther too.
I understand, but that's what I'm bitching about. His words matter, and if he can't
Yeah.
do that, he shouldn't even been trying.
Well, he's a flirt, so.
Mass off. There we go. Looks nice and clean. You see. Let's drop it in. Oh boy, we already see an issue. It seems to be lower.
It didn't sink though. It didn't fall to the bottom. So fuck you, you dumb cunt. Sorry.
And you let the water into it, so that's why.
Well, that's
And
what
he-
he's gonna
and-
be doing next.
And he plopped it in there, not like he set it in there in the first one. The first one he set it in there all soft like, and then this one he like dropped it in there too. So I mean, again, you
Yeah.
are flubbing up your you're not taking the variables out of the equations, you're adding more variables in there so that you're getting the result that you want.
Yeah, and we all know there's a big difference between just putting it in gently or ramming it up. Never mind.
That's really a good catch, Slim.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've watched this a couple times already. So all right.
I bet you Steve Walsh says that, well, it's a fish tank and he turned off the bubbles. I wonder if he understands why his goldfish float belly up.
Less mad.
Yeah, how did their buoyancy change there, homie? And why did they flip upside down? Why did those things change?
I don't know.
Not gravity, obviously.
Well, sure, when you die, you have less gravity on you. Don't you know that? Gosh.
Yeah,
Slim.
yeah, totes. Yep, I've that's happened multiple times to me accidentally. I am a cyborg after all. So
And if
they
there's
can
somebody on
revive.
the chat who doesn't understand, fish have this thing called an air bladder.
Yes,
And
that's
when
what-
they're dead, nothing can get out, but stuff still gets in because it's rotting and creating gases and stuff like Al says
Yep.
down below.
Yep, and so
Means it's
that's
gone
why
over.
that
Maybe
whole
there's some
process
air bubbles
happens.
still in. Let's just clean it off again to give it control. Okay, got rid of all the air. bubbles
Okay, so what
inside,
he did
which
is he
would give
pushed it
going.
down to the bottom of the fucking thing, trying to convince us that was a natural process. No, motherfucker, you just manipulated the fuck out of this whole experiment so that you could get the fucking result that you wanted. You fucking twat. Fuck you, Flatoid.
Now, we've taken that air bubbles out. It seems to have sunk. So this doesn't show a great result for gravity, does it?
No,
Yes, it does,
actually.
because
It
when
actually
you
does.
squeeze it and all the juice comes out and then you let go, the fruit rebounds and draws water in.
Yes, he manipulated everything in this experiment to
Everything
get
that he
the
should
narrative.
not be.
Well, he just did it to get his narrative. He probably put like the cat in there. He probably put the kitchen sink. He probably put pans and forks and knives, and he finally found something he could manipulate to, again, black swan his way into giving a result that looked like what he wanted.
Al, you know what you just said is absolutely true. I was at a dance club once and Flatsoid was there, and Flatsoid didn't understand why everybody was there at a strip club, you know, thinking that should be dancing and stuff. But he couldn't get the pole to dance, so he didn't know what to do. Strip club pole, never mind. It was a bad joke.
Yeah, no,
I got you.
that was good. That was good. No, that was good. I was just trying to come up with a
This has
rebuttal
been
to that.
shown now.
I just got to work
validate
that one a little better. Not
relative
concise enough.
density disequilibrium. Then we move on to analyze the results. After doing the
Jesus.
experiment, we were able
And I think we already know that he fucked it up. So why don't we go to the next video?
Oh boy.
Definitely, for sure. Because that is the stupidest word salad.
Yeah.
We would all become stupider after listening to what he just said for that part of it.
Yeah,
we don't need that. We
Jinzu.
don't need
Yes,
that one.
I saw that. That's pretty evil.
Then we don't
I'm
need that
trying
one.
to get the right one to the.
Ooh.
Well, that's
Oh,
cute.
That whole thing that happened, Jinx, that was crazy. How they found all the weights inside of those. It was walleyes. Okay, I thought it was a trout or something, but and actually, I think it's happened 3 times now.
I live in
So-
an area, La Crosse, Wisconsin, where on the Mississippi it is a very, very big thing about these fishing tournaments. We'll get 30,000 people in
How do we
in
get
town in a
the,
town of 50,000 just for
Oh, the
this
other one.
tournament.
What
yes,
what are you trying to do?
get the next video up.
Oh, the
And-
camera. Yep. Then you first need to add the camera.
They make a lot of money doing that.
wait.
And the fish were dead,
Nope.
I believe, before they
What?
stuffed. I hope they were dead before they stuffed them with the stuff.
No.
I'm not sure though.
This one. Why is that not? Why is it not? Yeah.
There
Like
we
that.
go.
There we blow.
Everything you thought you knew about the universe was untrue. If everything we learned in school about how
What?
planets, galaxies, and the very universe itself came to be was all just a good guess? What if the phrase spark of life applied not just to life on Earth, but to everything in existence? Welcome to the In Between. I'm Carol Ann, and today we're
She
gonna
looks like she
explore a
believes in
theory-
ghosts.
She
Oh,
looks
she
like
believes in all sorts of shite.
She looks like she sleeps with that skeleton on the bed behind her. Although I know it's a table, but it totally looks like a bed set up with the gnome and all the. But
Yeah,
I know
with the
it's
plushies. Yeah.
But she totally sleeps with that skeleton, allegedly.
Oh, yeah.
She also
Yeah.
has a roll of paper towels attached to the bed. Why?
that
She's
could
she's
make
a squirter.
you question
keep going.
everything you think you know, from the ground that you're standing on to the stars in the sky.
Bitch, we've
Right.
already questioned most of this shit. I love how people that like are new age nowadays are like, imagine if the pyramids were a blah blah blah, and you're like, no, we've been thinking about that for the last like 1,000 years. Or thought experiments. My favorite thing is what to say to an atheist to stump them or whatever, and they give us thought experiments like. Yeah, I thought of that like 25 years ago, you fucking weirdo. Like, you're not showing me anything new. Okay.
It's just a mystery for mystery's sake.
Ever since I was a kid, I've been reading stories of Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, UFO sightings, ghost encounters, and wondering what if these stories are true.
Yeah, when she was reading stuff, they were on scrolls. Anyways, I'm sorry.
It's the
Hey, come on.
passion
She looks
to
about my age.
explore
Okay, I
No.
know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
that
You're-
question that made me start
Yeah,
this
So
channel. And I'm pretty sure it's the same question that drives you to watch it. But today, we're going to go beyond the eye shine in your backyard tree line. We're going to go beyond that shadow you thought you saw out of the corner of your eye. We're going to broaden our horizons and apply that same question, what if, to one of the biggest mysteries of all, the entire universe.
Universe.
Well, we know more about the universe than we do about the bottom of the sea, and we know
Yep.
a fuck ton about that too.
Yes, and just because there's electricity in the universe does not mean it's the electrical universe that you fuckers think it is. I've already put it out right now because I feel like we're going in a certain direction. I feel like I've watched other content creators pull us
Ever
in
seen this
way.
guy? He probably looks familiar, and he should, because this guy has been carved into rocks all over the world. Arizona, Armenia, Guyana,
They don't.
Spain,
They don't.
the United Arab Emirates.
They don't look the same.
Well,
I
no,
know,
no,
and it's
like,
like you're
stick
imitating
figures.
a human form, and it's a
Okay.
stick figure, and
It's a
that one
stick
has
figure,
dragging
yeah.
testicles.
The Emirates one
In
has
Italy.
balls.
Yeah.
So this is a
All
way of
around-
this is normally a way of counting. So this would be a symbol for an emperor, empress, or something else because
and
they had
some-
certain dots in certain places, or
So-
it is a
so-
counting system.
yes, some do look kind of similar. The one
Or
at the
someone
top
thought
of
it looked
Africa
cool.
and the one in America, that they do look quite similar. But then
if you
again,
look
like,
at,
well, we all look quite similar, right? We're all people.
if you look
We're
at all
all
the different
stick
symbols,
figures.
if you look at all the symbols around the world, fucking throughout fucking history, you will find certain patterns of certain types of kind of symbols that kind of evolve around the same time. Does that mean anything? No, that's called human evolution and our brains developing and seeing certain things at a certain time because of
Yeah.
mass evolution and the way evolution works. Just like there may be 3 or 4 people around the earth that came up with, I'm using this as an example, photography or some kind of capturing device that you press a button or don't do something and then it records that some way, shape, or form. There are things that have happened throughout history where things kind of go together, but there wasn't technically direct connection with each other. There may have been, but we don't have enough proof of that. But that doesn't mean these things mean. Anyways, let's keep going.
Around the
'cause
same
obviously-
time in history, about 10,000 years ago, and all are actually
People look like stick figures 10,000 years ago all over the world. We all had arms and
every
legs
person
and
was a stick
hands.
person, and that's
drawn to
totes.
point at the same area of the sky. So the question becomes, what did they all see in that sky?
What-
Now look at this. It was this picture that made me want to dig a little deeper.
Oh my
And
Jesus.
this is now
What did they see? They saw Orion.
Oh my Jesus.
She's finding
you want-
plasmas.
You want to know why people made stick figures that looked that in that? It was the easiest way to portray a human. If you have not, you're not a fucking cartoonist, you're not an artist, and you want to portray a human, you're going to make them kind of look in the same way as a stick figure, right? I mean, and if they're doing a celebration or a dance or something, most likely their hands are going to be up. But they showed us very, very small sections of those cave paintings. There may have been multiple other figures that were there as well, and they're just picking out the ones they want to use.
not the only instance. A man named Anthony Peratt,
Oh
an
my Jesus.
acknowledged
Beaver, heart beaver.
He's a vampire. No, he's a vampire. He's a living
Yeah.
He's literally a living vampire.
leader
Isn't that
world
Wojciechowicz on Barney Miller?
expert on plasma discharge formations has identified dozens of plasma formations that directly
I've got some plasma discharge. I had
no,
some plasma
oh my
discharge
Jesus.
earlier.
Oh my Jesus
Giggity.
Christ.
That's called diarrhea. I'm sorry.
No,
correlate
no,
to pictures
no,
we
it
see
wasn't
on
diarrhea.
petroglyphs,
None of those-
geoglyphs, and megaliths all over the world. How is
None
this
of those
possible?
matched. Just because
How is
things
this
have
possible? Because I'm sorry, you're playing pareidolia.
That's exactly it. You're putting things together that do not need to be put together, and once again, you have to read the rest of the scroll. You have to read the rest of the cave painting. You have to read the rest of everything else to put it into concept. Just like when we were going over hieroglyphs in Egypt that showed like supposedly like UFOs or like ancient technology of like cell phones and shit. We found out that there were like 3 or 4 different things put over each other. 2,000 years before that, they put this. Then the new emperor, empress came in and put down this. And then the next one after that, they put down this. And so now you have these multiple things laying over each other. That is a thing. Like, how do I know that any of these things you're showing me are actually a thing? Or what is the full picture of what you're showing me?
Crickets.
These formations have, to our knowledge, only been produced in high-tech plasma research laboratories. There are a number of
What?
Okay, honey bunny, whatever you say.
What is even that? Anyways,
scientists
keep
out there
going.
That was a plasma ball, and it's a high-tech research facility.
who are asking that same
that's how that
question,
works.
who are not 100% convinced that the current track of modern cosmology, that celestial bodies are ruled by gravitational forces, is the right one. And they have an alternative, one ruled not by gravity, but by electricity.
But,
Eh.
but-
Electricity is not electromagnetism. Electricity creates electromagnetism, and electromagnetism can create electricity, but they are not the same.
yeah, but
If this
did
is-
did she say that plasma was only created in laboratories?
Hmm.
Yeah,
So my kitchen is a laboratory.
Well, I
if
guess.
Cut the
I
grape
open-
in half and put it
So,
in your microwave and turn it on.
It's like she's saying that if you turn on your microwave and you were able to open it at the right time with the right thing inside of it, that you could explode somebody or something. And or this is a directional kind of thing that you can manipulate in certain, like, we can't do that.
I assure you that if you come to my kitchen, it's going to pretty much seem like a lab. You know, how I cook. Yeah. You don't want to try it.
But she's saying this is a directional kind of electrical thingy-mabobbers that actually do what. It doesn't work. You can't directionalize these things these ways. Anyways.
Everything from the movement and magnetism of the smallest atomic particle to the creation and destruction of the most massive galaxies. And why wouldn't we consider electricity as a fundamental force in the creation and continuous reshaping of the universe?
Again, it is not electricity on the quantum level that is creating things to happen. It is electromotive force or anything else you want, but it is not electricity. And neither are your nerves from your brain to your wiener. That's not electricity either.
That's chemical and electrical combined. This one right here, nuts. I have to apologize. When I said beaver, that guy's buck teeth, that was a bit superficial, and I shouldn't have picked on him like that.
Force, it's only 1,000 billion times more powerful than the force of gravity.
Yeah, but electricity works really strong on a small scale, while gravity is extremely weak but works over large distances.
It seems absolutely antithetical, but gravity is the weak force in physics, and the bonding between electrons and nuclei and things like that is the strong force.
Yeah, but the thing is,
well,
is you
there's
can't use
actually
like
another strong force. So it's electromagnetic, weak force, strong force, gravitational.
Okay, I'll accept that.
And
Yeah,
then
but also,
she's trying to say that. Go ahead, bring this.
Gravity acts on everything. Electricity and electromagnetism doesn't.
Exactly.
Try attracting a piece of wood with some electromagnetism. Good luck.
You'll be there.
Yeah, well, depends on how many nails you hit into it, but
yeah, but you'll be there for a million years. Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Is she's saying that electrical forces are so strong all around us that they're causing supposed gravity, but then you'd be getting electrocuted constantly. So what are you talking about? Magnetic fields are not that strong. We can barely get a small piece of tinfoil and other things to float on the
high voltage.
Yeah, the levitating frog. All you need is this giant thing that and they only managed to levitate a few centimeter long frog.
This is the number one with 39 zeros following it, or 10 to the 39th power. But before we launch ourselves over the cliffs of insanity, inconceivable, in trying to figure out how prehistoric man could know what a plasma formation looks like, we need to chat about what the electric universe theory actually is. So,
Well, the ancient humans saw thunder or heard thunder and saw lightning, so they kind of saw what plasma is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you, Steve. Yeah. So, anyways, let's keep going with this plot.
This video
Exactly.
is so long. Why don't we go about 30 minutes longer and then actually like do a follow up on your channel with her?
Sure, that works.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can send me that later.
So,
So yeah,
hang tight.
Oh,
while
I
do
already
a
have it.
super quick rundown of how cosmology got to where it is today and how electricity fits into the mix. We have Copernicus, a mathematician and astronomer, hanging out around the turn of the 16th century, who is the father of the heliocentric model of the universe that says that the Earth revolves around the sun, not the other way around.
Heliocentric model of the solar system, not the universe.
Interesting to note that his full body of work was not published until after he died,
because
Same
of why,
principles
bitch.
apply.
for
Because of
fear
why.
of retribution from the
Yep.
Catholic Church. About 100 years later comes Johannes Kepler, who describes the planetary orbits around the sun. Then comes Sir Isaac Newton about 50 years later, who adds gravity to the mix of Kepler's laws of planetary motion, which could also account for tidal activity, the trajectories of comets, the precession of the equinoxes, and other phenomena.
Wow, it's almost like we should use that information rather than
Yeah.
believe in
Just-
bollocks.
Exactly. Hey, doctor.
Hello, doctor.
Hi, doctor.
Is there a doctor? Yes.
Anyone who's new, please like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
Hell
please
yeah.
do.
Well, if you like
Eliminate-
it.
Doubt about the solar system's heliocentricity. Newton's laws are considered sacrosanct until over 200 years later when Albert Einstein rolls up. He studies Newton's law of
that's
universal
not
gravity.
true. That's not true, right? Eventually,
No.
the church did say that the Earth was being spun around other things a little bit before Einstein, correct?
Yes, they have their own observatory and this,
Yeah.
astrophysicists.
she's
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah, so she's wrong again.
Wrong.
Oh, and also,
wrong.
like the difference between Newton's theory and Einstein's theory is accuracy. So they used Newton to get to the moon because they didn't need to take relativistic effect.
Even better than that,
into-
Einstein used Newton's law mathematics to establish his theory of relativity.
And the way
yeah,
that this
because
always
E
works.
equals MC squared is basically the same formula. It's what's added to it and everything
Yeah.
derived
Yeah.
from it.
Newton's laws are still valid. They still use them for calculations to get us to this little bitty comet way out a couple trillion miles away and bring it back. Einstein just refined that. It wasn't different. It was refined.
Yeah, that's what we call springboarding off of somebody else's stuff before us, or ideals before, is you use a little bit of that to get to the next place. And these people just want to be so special that they don't want to look at what we've already discovered. It's not like every single time you have to start from zero to learn things and then become a specialist. And most of these people spent 40 years of their life, if not more, figuring out these weird, crazy, like small things that now make what we have come to understand in the universe.
Gravitation,
So
but expands those ideas into what would become his theory of general relativity, which gives us the behavior of gravity at large scale. The theory not only describes the relationship between space, time, gravity, and matter, it opens the door to the theoretical possibility of black holes.
So if it works, why should we
And-
jettison it?
Could we play that last segment back again?
Yeah.
I missed a few important words, I think.
He studies Newton's law of universal gravitation, but expands those ideas into what would become his theory of general relativity, which gives us the behavior of gravity at large scale. The theory not only describes the relationship between space, time, gravity, and matter, it opens the door to the theoretical possibility of black holes.
Okay, now I'm not an expert on Einstein by any means whatsoever, but didn't he not believe in black holes? or
I don't
am I
know.
thinking of somebody else?
He said it predicted it, but he did not believe that such things. He was skeptical of it.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
theories
he saw an
predicted it.
anomaly. Yeah, he saw an anomaly, but wasn't sure about what it completely was, and so he wasn't going to claim there were those things until he had better. But your pause game is amazing right now. That's an awesome. Somebody thumbnail that bullshit. Anyways,
Stephen Walsh in the chat. You always like special relativity. You do know that special relativity is dating your cousin, right? Never mind.
that's what we call it in the South. Is
And
special
it's-
relativity.
And it's great to have you here, Tapioca Weasel.
Yes,
Even
definitely.
Einstein couldn't make that leap. He calls the theory unconvincing and says that they do not exist in the real world. But
Okay, and this was
Cosmos.
how many years ago? How many years ago was Einstein?
Well, he died just before I was
Um,
born, and so that would be 70 years.
So
He-
now we have a greater understanding of a lot of these things. We have awesome, really precise medical and scientific equipment and or telescopes and other things. So yes, you are saying stuff that is so far behind the times, even though we use their equations to do things that you're not.
Yeah,
It's not
and
relevant.
also,
per
like,
se.
it was just, was it a few years back that they actually took pictures for the first time of a black hole? Two of them.
Yep.
Yeah, they finally caught Pip in the nude. They finally caught.
So Einstein died in 1955.
Yeah,
So
and
science
so-
has advanced a heck of a
Oh,
lot.
I'm
since
sorry.
then.
That's just the year after. I'm sorry. I forgot.
That's all right, honey. Oh my god! But what I'm saying is, it's a gazillion years. I'm sorry.
What's a
I'm
year
sorry, I don't
between
say it that
friends?
way.
So yeah, well,
But it
so
was a-
my mom and Einstein have lived together. Okay, that.
So what I was getting at is technology has changed so much, and now we look at the more modern versions and the better ways of taking in this scientific data, right, from this equipment that we do have nowadays. And that's the difference, that she's trying to just wipe off of the whiteboard and pretend that we don't have by just quoting these old people. And again, we do use the equations for them, but she's not bringing it to modern times to fit her narrative.
Or just keep marching forward with only math to back their theories. In the 1930s,
Only math?
No, it's
Yeah.
experiments. It's everything.
That's one of the few things besides experiments that can prove things.
Fifth
Oh my-
graders. Fifth graders, every time they graduate high school, they have to do these experiments to get out to graduate. What are you talking about, you weirdos?
Math can describe virtually everything on the planet. Everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mathematics is the only language that accurately describes reality.
Exactly.
astronomer Fritz Zwicky has a problem. The law of gravity relies upon mass. The more mass, the more gravity. So Fritz, looking at different galaxies and using the then current assumption that the more light a star gives off, the bigger it is, he notices that the stars are not nearly big enough to account for the amount of gravity needed to keep those galaxies together. So he decides there must be more mass hanging around that we just can't see. He calls the invisible stuff dark matter. Problem solved. But then astronomers observed that the galaxies appear to be moving apart, as if some repellent force is acting on them. So astronomers come up with a new force
Gravity.
called dark.
And then, Jesus Christ.
Dark energy. She goes on like this for a while.
Is
Yeah,
that the dark
sure, let's-
force? Is that the same as the
Why-
dark force?
It's
I
Darth
hate
Vader.
to cut.
Go
I
ahead.
hate to cut this short. I've got
Yeah, no.
things going on in the background, and the algorithm actually likes it a little bit short. So
That's
Okay.
fine. I'm down. We will be going over her a little bit more in Crackpot Conspiracies is when we'll delve into her
Yeah.
more.
And Commander, how far in are we on this video?
we are 6 minutes 19 seconds, and it's almost 30 minutes long. And
Yeah.
we
This is going to
probably
be
spent-
painful.
It's the same on Slim Streams. Like
Yeah.
we got videos that are an hour, and like we get into that like 5 minutes, and we've spent.
This is pretty long. This is pretty far in, considering,
For normally,
Yeah.
yes.
especially considering we looked at Flatside's fruit.
Yeah, so we'll definitely delve back into her. I don't know if we're gonna do it next week or whatever.
That's what you were saying. I'm not delving into that.
Al Trucker, the reason Caleb can't describe the belly button is because he has eaten it before he gets a chance to look at it.
Of course.
There's a fair point.
Tomorrow, if I
They
can
please
figure
make
out-
sure that's recorded in the record.
it was taken down. Somebody clip it up. Anyways, tomorrow, if we can figure out a way to watch, like, I don't think the Puppy Bowl we can watch. There may be Kitten Bowl, or if there's some other things in the Americas. We have Super Bowl going on tomorrow, and I was gonna go up for a little bit, just for a second, and then if we can figure out a way to do something silly to for tomorrow, then we may do that.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, they won't let us stream the Super Bowl and watch it done because the NFL's a bunch
But
of cunts.
even the Puppy Bowl, that's up behind paywalls as well. We tried that last year and it didn't work. But I think there's the Kitten Bowl, and I think there's a couple other little thingy-mabobbers that we may be able to like watch and go over for the Super Bowl in the Americas.
Well, now YouTube's got a thing going. They got a contract with the CBS, and you can get a free trial subscription to YouTube and watch the Super Bowl tomorrow. Which means that if you were to say watch it on YouTube on a nice screen size monitor, and then happen to have a camera that accidentally broadcast it over Discord, yeah, we could watch it.
Yeah, well, no, I want to not watch the Super Bowl, but I want to watch the Puppy Bowl or the Kitten Bowl, or there's a couple other little like animal bowls and other things that we usually do instead of the Super Bowl, and so we'll try that again this year.
If it has like the egg bowl rules, like
I know.
I do need some explaining for that, because like I don't know egg bowl.
Okay, sure. But remember last year when we tried that brainless and they wouldn't let us play some of the stuff. Anyways, it doesn't matter. So that's going on, and then Monday we're gonna do Crazy Shite. It's Forgotten History, and it's about how aliens, the Inner Earth, and giants have all been erased from history, and how supposedly the governments have been hiding those from us.
Are you following Barnabas?
Oh,
I
mean, that is one of the people. Yeah, that's one of the people that I go over, or we go over, and then also,
he's not only wrong, he's a dick.
Yeah. And then what's the other douche nozzle's name? That thinks everything else is fake. Anyways, so
Hans Wormhat. Everything
there
is
we go.
fake.
Thank you,
Oh,
Hans. There we go,
Wormhat.
Hans.
Yeah.
Jesus
Hans,
Christ.
everything's fake. Wormhat.
I'm with you, Glober
And
Mom.
Next week, same time, same place. I'm thinking of either Roger Mud Fossil University
Okay.
or I'm also open to suggestions from people in the Discord.
Yes, people in the Discord. I'd love to go over Mud Fossil University again, and there's so many things that we can go over, even like from a year or two ago, because it's literally just the same stuff. So I think that's could be some good content to go over. And then, do you know about his new flunky? That is
No.
the dragon fossil dude.
Oh God.
Oh, we hopefully Mippet can make it for dragon fossils. I'm
Okay.
not saying that she's old. I'm saying that she's old enough to be an ancient force of nature, which is extremely awesome, yet young enough to
Yes.
kick anybody's ass.
Totally. I
If you're
will
looking-
send you the link for the new mud fossil guy, which is the dragon guy.
If you're looking for stuff that is absolutely completely untrue, fabricated, total BS, you could probably play any speech from a Republican.
We do. Well,
we have to go over Cat Kerr one day.
Yeah. Well, Jenny, if we do have a stupid things politicians say stream, and we also have a dumb things or stupid things that MAGA people say as well.
That sounds
And
like
so
fun.
we go over the idiocracy of that, and that may be happening in the next couple of weeks. But I think we're going to be doing crackpot conspiracies next week as well as the normal stuff. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, Commander, for putting this on and finding all the fun stuff for us to go over.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for
Everybody-
allowing me in. I appreciate it.
We always
very
love having
welcome.
you
Bye,
on.
bye, everybody. Thank you.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye bye, Al. And remember, if I'm ever here and I'm doing something bad or saying something